Welcome to Your Music Saved Us, where two friends blast ourselves into the past to relive and recontextualize the alternative Christian music we grew up listening to in the 1990s. My name is Jay, and with me is Clifton and someone else.
Yeah,
Clifton, who's going to be with us today?
we are about to have a conversation with Jonathan Caro from Bloodshed, Stairwell. Those are the big ones, but a bunch of other bands over the years. And yeah, it's gonna be a good fun time.
Great, looking forward to it.
All right, well, let's get into that.
I enjoy you
Uh,
guys' show. I listened to many of those episodes.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Yeah,
Eh,
it's good analysis about a bunch of music. Yeah, it's good, super good.
Sometimes I wonder if we have more former band members listening to us than we have
Yeah.
other people.
Hey, Jonathan,
Yeah.
what's your current job? Like, what's your life like in the present now?
I went on a tangent career-wise that I never thought I'd end up in. So I ended up in security, and
Oh, cool.
I was gonna go towards the public safety sector, and I was training to do that. And with some life altering situations that happened, I said, okay, I guess I'm gonna go another route, which is back towards my passion. So yeah, so that's where I decided to go. So now I'm deeply heavily and taking advantage of it, since being my location. I'm only 30 miles away from LA and
Oh,
Hollywood,
cool.
that I'm like, let me just try the film industry, and it's just
Cool.
always something inside I've always wanted to do, but feared to try it out. I
Yeah.
was always scared to try it. It seemed impossible to do, but with some people I met that were really encouraging, they said, you can totally do this. And I'm like, shoot, might as well just try it. So now I'm heavily into that, and that's my course now. So
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Nice.
All right. So, are you originally from Orange County?
No, I grew up in LA County,
Okay.
at the most east, not the East LA that you hear from movies, because yeah, that's pretty rough. But on the edge of LA County, so San Gabriel Valley.
Okay.
I grew up in a town called Hacienda Heights, and so that's like about pretty much like 30 miles east of Los Angeles, downtown.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you grow up in the church?
I grew up, as many other like Filipinos have done. We grew up in a Catholic home,
Okay.
but then my brother, he became became Christian, and I followed suit at around 10, the age of 10, because what I noticed with the people, because we started in the Calvary circuit, so Calvary Chapel, Golden Springs.
Mhm.
Well, actually, at the time it was Calvary Chapel, West Covina. So this pastor called Raul Ruiz. So that was like my first church I've been a part of. And there's a little smaller churches that we were checking out, but that was like the first main one I ever decided to go to. And yeah, so ever since I was 10, pretty much was Christian from there. I just saw that the people there seemed more passionate about their faith,
Mhm.
and so I said, they seem more pleasant than the regular service at the Catholic Church seemed rather mellow, and I was like, and also it seemed like the other people, a lot of Christians at the time where I was going, like, were seemed more charismatic about what they believed in.
Cool.
So I like that. I was like, hey, I really believe in God, and I'm excited about it, and these people were excited about it as well. But as growing up now, I'm starting to learn different things. But yeah,
Yeah.
Sure. Were you in youth group? Did you guys have like a youth group type thing?
So you had to, as typically you would go through thing. I just we call it catechism.
Yeah.
Am I saying it right? Gosh, it's so long.
I think
Yeah,
so.
so we'll go to the classes, with that, and I forget how many years you're supposed to be a part of that. So that was like kind of like, yeah, that was my youth group for that. And then moving forward as just saying, yeah, I'm just Christian, quote unquote Protestant or whatever, I joined a bunch of other youth groups, and naturally I always end up on the youth group band. Yeah, the youth group leader was like, "Hey man, you got to join the band," and I'm like, "I don't know, I got other bands I'm doing right now." So, I was part of other youth groups in my day. So, yeah.
We spend a lot of time talking about youth group and stuff on our podcast, obviously, because there's that's kind of when most I think of us were introduced to this alternative Christian music when we were growing up, and so that's kind of the time period where we were also being shaped by the music as in addition to the youth group and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna go back and forth here on some kind of questions. What kind of music did you listen to growing up, or before your teenage years?
For my teenage years, my first song that I can very, very clear as that at the top of my head, was Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
I just called to say I love you.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that song, and that's the first song that I would, persistently sing, throughout that time when I was like super young. I was like 4 or 5.
Cool.
And then I was exposed to the Monkees, and I was watching that show.
Oh yeah.
On the telly, and look forward to that, and anything they sang, mostly the Davy Jones stuff, Cheer Up Sleepy Jean, right? I would sing that. A lot of parties I was hired because that's the only way they would make me sing. They would pay me $20 to sing Bette Midler. Wings Beneath My Wings. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I was a Bette Midler fan, and I did cry when I finished watching Beaches.
Sure. I have 2 sisters, so I grew up watching Beaches also.
Okay. And I got into Bobby Brown, that era, R&B stuff. So that's where I got a lot of my singing influence. It's a really clean style, which will be connected. I'm sure we'll get to later on. I learned this proper singing, really clean vocal kind of thing was an influence on me. And it eventually would go down the road in my music career. And also parallel to that, I with my parents working, the 9 to 5 being away when I'm out of school at that time, I sat in front of TV watching MTV, and there goes all those classic videos, from Video Killed the Radio Stars, So I became a fan of whatever that was on that, on at that time through MTV. And I was also around when I was like 5 years old, I think. My brother, he's like a chameleon, so he got into almost every genre. So got punk, R&B. That's probably the influence on me too. That's why I got into R&B as well. Rap. He was a big fan of Prince. He bought the same guitar as Prince, and he really valued that. It got stolen though, unfortunately.
The Telecaster.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they left in the back of a hatchback. That idea. So he was in so many different genres too, and that obviously was an influence on me. And one of it was punk. And early on, I just remember hearing some crazy racket in the garage after I watched Back to the Future, by the way, which more nostalgia there. And I'd seen this guy with a leather jacket that's screaming his head off, and he's angry. And I was like, oh man, this is intense. I like this. I don't know what the heck this is, but it's a lot faster and louder than what I was watching on MTV. And I became, I liked it a lot. So I was influenced by, I got into punk early on then around that time too, because they were practicing in the garage. I forgot the name, but a band that led to that was called The Rebellious Behavior. That was like the band that followed suit. Yeah. And,
what year do you think this was?
That So that band, whatever I saw, I forgot the name of what it was. So 86, 87, that's when that Rebellious Behavior, I believe, started coming around.
Okay.
And that's my brother's band. So he was the bass player.
Oh, cool.
And, yeah. So around that time, I was listening to punk at the same time. I was into like R&B, Bobby Brown or whatever, Belle Biv DeVoe kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then my first actual rock single I bought was REM's "Losing My Religion."
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I played that song crazy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It sounds like your love for music started early, and you had a bunch of good influences in your life.
Yeah, very early on.
Well, very cool. In fact, I see a bass guitar and a Telecaster in your background.
Yes. Yeah. They're both Squire Infinity series. For some reason I prefer that over the actual.
Yeah, those are good guitars as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. I had own actual Telecasters. So I ended up selling it for some reason. Sticking around. So
interesting. Cool.
Yeah, like the bass there, like the action. I never felt anything better than that one.
Yeah.
I was playing at a guitar shop, and I'm like, this action is so good, and it's sounding so good. I'm like, gosh, how much is this? And I didn't really look at the brand. I mean, I didn't even look at what type of Fender it was. Yeah, and the guy's, it's a Squire. I'm like, what the heck? He's like, $200. I'm like, all right, it's sold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the Telecaster, it's an Infinity series, and I didn't have a guitar at the time because I sold my my SG.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed something that was more that tele sound. I missed that sound, and at the time that the Infinity series was like the only thing I could afford, so I got that. So,
yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, I have the that Jaguar bass from the Infinity series.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
It's pretty good bass. Yeah, I like it.
Sure.
All right, we'll go back on subject here, though.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
So you got introduced to punk through your brother and
Yes.
the band. When did you start really like listening to it and kind of deciding to, quote unquote, be in the scene or start a band and all that stuff?
It really a key moment was my first grade teacher having everyone in the class giving them a classical guitar and teaching them basic chords.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and with that, I was like, "This is awesome."
Yeah,
and we're actually playing songs, and we would go in the cafeteria and sing along. What's that one song that we did? Lay down your head and cry. Tom Dooley. Yeah, we learned that song. That's a pretty dark song, actually, for first grade. Yeah, we learned that song, and that's the one I remember quite vividly. And then taught us all the chords, and ever since then, I was just like, oh, this is something I want to continue doing. And then with my brother, he started asking me to play along. He was leading worship for a lot of like small groups and stuff. And so I started playing with that. And that's another part that had me move forward with that. And at the same time, my cousin was starting to drum and started to get into rock as well, influenced by his bigger brother, which is all our family, all our cousins. So that through my cousin, I started jamming with him on bass, and he played the drums, and we started building a good bond with that, as like a good cohesive team, a good rhythm section, and that eventually would lead to like starting a band and stuff.
Cool. Would that be Justice?
Yes, cool. Correct. Justice.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Yeah, we've been meaning to have him on. He sent a message a while back. With a video of him listening to the Bloodshed episode.
Oh man, when he was here, when he heard that episode, he was just ecstatic, man. He was just like, he was loving it, man. He's just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're talking in detail about the EP and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is rad, huh? This is so cool.
Yeah, I think. Well, let's get into Bloodshed, because I think it's one of those bands that probably didn't feel like it got attention at the time, but I can tell you that when I found Fallbrook, it was just it was a big change for me. So
awesome.
Yeah, but let's get into it. How did Bloodshed come around?
how did Bloodshed come around? So as I said, I mentioned my cousin Justice's brother H. Honorius. His name is Leonard. He's not gonna like that. He named his name. He changed his name for a reason. So he became Christian as well. So we all kind of like decided to claim the same faith and stuff. And he started doing missions and stuff like to the Philippines and all that. And so and then eventually when he came back, he started getting into Christian music. He started doing interviews. So he got really into it. Like was a big fan of Dakota Motor Company.
Yeah.
I remember him doing an interview with her. She's awesome, by the way. Like I met her years down the line. She's so cool in person. So yeah, he really got into it, and he eventually decided to start a band, and that band was called Outnumbered, which is on the Help Us Amongst Friends 1 comp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that crew, because he was a drummer for that, through them, we started meeting guys from Unashamed, because they were all within the same circle and then Focused, and that's when that scene around that time was starting up, playing in Orange County, and also parts of LA County too, and stuff.
So like, I'm gonna interrupt you real fast. How old were you when you started going to these shows?
I think it was 12. I think it was 12.
Wow.
That's crazy. My parents would never have let me do that, but okay.
I think maybe it helped because I was with my older cousin. No,
right?
maybe
Yeah.
Actually, never mind. There would be shows where I would go with my cousin H, but then there's a lot where I just went on my own.
Yeah.
With my younger cousin, and I was already kind of independently. We would just hitch rides with other people and ask around. Like Jeff Jackaway, he would actually take me to some Bloodshed shows and help me out because he kind of lived in LA County as well.
Oh, cool.
And so he would say, "I'm on the way, so I'll pick you up." So I owe him a lot for the rides early on. But yeah.
So yeah, now back to how Bloodshed came about, I guess.
Okay. So that scene. So within that group, so you had Unashamed going on, barely starting. We had that, they came out with their demo, and then I remember Focused. My first introduction to them was at a. I remember this it was like one of the best shows I've ever been, and an actual real first show too for me. They played at some high school in Whittier. I think it was like Friendly Hills High School, something like that. I might be wrong, but I remember
Focused played at a high school.
Yeah, it was like their gym. I remember that, and it was like this high school had the same vibe as like in Back to the Future that gym had the same vibe.
Yeah, with Huey Lewis.
They had the dance, and it was packed with so many. It was packed. So you couldn't even move. There were so many people in there. I remember, and I remember seeing them playing, and they were playing that song "Walk Beside Me." If you ever knew, and I was like, that song was so rad. Like it was so good, really catchy, and I remember getting their demo from that, and I was a big fan ever since. With Focus around that time, and so that was like the core group when I was around, and then we started playing with other bands. A lot of them are on that comp, like Impact.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a little bit later on, but that's definitely before '95. So with that, we just started playing shows everywhere. All these, mostly, predominantly, a lot of churches all around Orange County and Long Beach and little bits of LA County. And then, so that was like the usual three that I remember. And then some of these smaller bands that sometimes I forget a little bit. And I remember Plain Kai hopping in, and it was a cool contrast because we're all hardcore, and here's this band's kind of funky, a little bit, had a little funk and a little rock. I liked it. It was a different thing because I always admired Luis's slapping and funky stuff because before I got in hardcore, I was in the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And, some weird bands like Infectious Grooves. They're from the Suicidal Tendencies. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I was into before, because I got into funk before joining Bloodshed, and that become an issue later on. I was too funky for hardcore, so the guys were like, "You got to stop the slapping, man." So I had to stop. But yeah, that was the core for a while, I remember, and then all these other bands started jumping on later on down the road, such as like we run into POD. We know where they went. What other bands? Gosh, I forgot another band that came down from there. Oh man, I just remember that was the core, and then already early on, not too long after that, playing a bunch of shows with all these different bands. Tooth and Nail started showing up, and those guys were talking about Unashamed and Focus were talking about, oh, we're getting signed. I'm like, awesome, cool, and it's like, oh yeah, it's some new label starting up. It's from Irvine, and I remember going down to the offices too, down in Irvine. I forgot the address though. I forgot the location, the exact part of Irvine, but later on, as we started playing, they eventually asked us, hey, I think they're interested in signing you guys too. And I was like, oh, cool. This is like my first serious band, and already like I'm presented with this record deal. Kind of.
How old are you at this point?
So when that started picking up, I think it was 14.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Because before that, because that 95 was like when we went on the road with Focus.
Wow.
And then, so we had to been recording in 1994 with the self-titled EP. I think so, because it came up before we went on tour in 95. I believe so. Yeah.
I was still picking my nose at 14. Okay. Let's
Yeah. I forgot the studio we went to, but we recorded with Bob Moon with that. And we had early experience with them because of the comps. Like the Helpless Amongst Friends. I forgot the timeline with the Helpless Amongst Friends stuff, but
okay, I was gonna ask that.
The first one was obviously was with Bob Moon, and we recorded that song at the Green Room. Okay. Cool. I remember you guys talking about that.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So we recorded there, and then the next one was the second comp was at his own studio in Riverside.
Okay.
So, and a lot of known recorded stuff on Tooth and Nail was recorded there as well. I believe. So
yeah. So the first Helpless Amongst Friends came out in 94. So
okay.
That was probably around the time you guys were recording the self-titled EP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then I guess the following year then we were starting with the second comp Inside. Yeah, Inside. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys led off are the first track on both of the Helpless Amongst Friends. That's
yeah. That's it was cool. I think that was all due to just because we were on a first, like we knew Brandon personally.
Yeah.
So, and then he also, I think he was inclined to start us off because it started so like strong in the beginning. So he liked that.
Yeah, they're energetic songs, and they also have probably more melodic elements, I think, than a lot of the stuff that comes later in the comps. So I think that's a good it's a good nice song to suck you into the comp, right?
Yeah, and our sound and our direction dramatically changed within a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Because John, he was always ahead of us. John Cottrell, the original songwriter, was always way ahead of us in music than the fact that he eventually quit music pretty quickly before us. And we're still doing it, so we never really quit. But he went on to better things.
Yeah, those people who can seem to do anything, right?
Yeah. But yeah, yeah, we that for like the first one, that first song on the comp was really influenced by Earth Crisis. I have to admit. Um, yeah, that's a big influence. One of their songs. What's that one song? Um, Dang it, it's all E. What was? I don't know if you guys ever listen to them.
I've never have no.
Okay, yeah, there's this one song where just they play E for the majority, like almost 100% of the time, and so we kind of got that same idea from that.
Okay.
And then the second one, we were kind of getting influenced by Helmet and stuff, and that's a little more melodic, and so
yeah,
and hence that's why like the second song is a little more, we have that singing part that comes in, and that's the kind of direction we were kind of wanted to go.
Okay.
Around that time,
right
before we got influenced by other bands. Yeah.
So how long was it from the start of Bloodshed until you're recording that self-titled EP?
So I have to say that I remember we were playing for at least I think from 92 or 93 is when we started getting together and jamming, and it was just all just because we were working. We came up with a demo.
That's right.
So a lot of it was just recording that demo and just playing all these shows for the 2 years before we started getting signed. And then, so yeah, pretty much I think from 92, 93 to 95. That's
okay.
Yeah.
Man, took you guys 2 years. You're getting pretty long in the tooth for a Christian band to get discovered. Usually within 6 months, they're. I'm joking, but we always joke around because in the secular market, it seems like it takes bands 10 years to get discovered. In the Christian market, it's like if you're not discovered within a year, you're doing something wrong.
No, totally. And it I think it's the factor too is just our vicinity within each other. Tooth and Nail started in Orange County.
Yeah,
and he was starting a scene, and gathering bands for his label, and we all just happened to be there, around that time. And so he knew that hardcore was picking up.
As you were starting Bloodshed, was there already kind of a Christian music scene that you were part of, or were you guys kind of creating that as?
Yeah, there was. And like a number, I know that's one of the ones that I started going to shows with them, whatever they're part of. And I think early on they hooked up with Pink Eye.
Okay.
Early on too, and they already started playing. Some other bands there. There's a band. I don't know if anyone's heard that's called Raspberry Jam.
Oh yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they were around. We were out there around. So we were, watching them, seeing them play. Gosh, sorry, I'm just totally blanking out on a lot of the bands.
Okay, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So, was Bloodshed playing mostly Christian shows, or were you playing like secular shows as well?
Yeah. Early on, we were already playing a mixture of that.
Okay.
So, one of the bands that made a name for themselves called Ignite, and so we would play. One of the places we played was kind of a neutral place. Like it was a Catholic church called St. Nobert's, and yeah, Ignite. We played with Ignite, and they're totally opposite, straight edge and everything. But what's cool is that a lot of these bands that we were playing with were neutral. We just focused on the positive, putting other things aside and say, hey, you know what, we're getting together as a music scene. Hey, you guys kind of have an issue with drugs, and so do we, kind of thing, or the abstinence from certain things, and so so we got along with that, with those beliefs. So we kept it neutral, but there were still obviously other bands that were like hell heck no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was a time where it seemed like it was just unity. Hey, we're here just enjoying music and together, and this. Let's look at the positives, and it was cool. I really enjoyed that, and so we did play a mixture of secular shows, and it was. I felt accepted in that scene, and it was cool. A good vibe. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, for the most part, and so early on, it wasn't unusual for us to mix in with other with other with secular bands and not. So yeah, that was like a common thing.
Oh, cool. So after the after the first EP, what's his name? Sorry.
It's okay.
Really thing? Sorry, my notes are. All right. So after the first EP, John left.
Yes.
And in fact, on the first EP, you wrote the final song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So which was my favorite song off of that EP.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah, that was influenced by a non-Christian band, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh,
Interesting.
really?
So you hear the slapping in it. That's
Yeah.
clue, right?
Okay.
And so on their first debut album, Mother's Milk, which there's an instrumental there where he's playing, and it's all him, and he's playing all these high notes, and there's a trumpet in the background, and it's cool. It starts off really slow, it's really dynamic, and it just starts building up. It's an awesome instrumental song, and it's really features Flea and this trumpet player, which I think it happened to be Flea. It might be him too doing an overdub of trumpet, because I think he plays trumpet as well. And so yeah, that had a heavy influence on that song.
Oh, cool. And in my world, in my mind, Red Hot Chili Peppers invented the kind of rap. I know it's not the only thing they did. They had like one song, but they kind of invented the rap rock genre, and that's kind of unforgivable for me. So I've never.
Yeah.
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 And then
there's a lot of things I grew up listening to that I start melding in, throwing into a lot of the projects I did. So
yeah. And so then you after John left, you kind of became the primary songwriter for Bloodshed for the second EP. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was writing stuff on the side, and then the guys were just kind of listening to what I was writing, and then I wrote that one at the end, and like, hey, you're pretty good at songwriting, and you already, and we like how you sing already, so, and we have no one else really to kind of take the lead, so yeah, I took the lead on that.
Well, cool.
Out of necessity, like, hey, we need to move forward. And I knew that everyone wanted to go a different direction. We weren't so angry no more. We didn't have that teenage angst or whatever anymore. Yeah. And we wanted to kind of expand musically, but still keep the screaming it to tie why people liked this in the first place was, have an edge in it. So we still liked it too. With that, other influences started coming in that John was getting into. So, some really unknown obscure bands that were on record labels locally, like this one band called Evergreen.
Yeah.
And then to be, and we were also heavily influenced by mainstream other bands such as like Smashing Pumpkins. What else is there? And then got into Fugazi heavily.
Oh,
that's nice. A big influence on the second record as well. So, and then I got heartbroken and then started listening to Sunny the Real Estate a lot.
Nice.
Yeah. And that was definitely a big influence on me because I felt I kind of sing kind of the same way, the whiny. And not to say that that's a bad one. I think it's a cool one.
It is a cool one.
Yeah, and so and also the way he wrote was kind of like, wow, this guy writes kind of the same way. Not to say like he's ripping me off, but I'm like, we kind of have the same songwriting style or something. So that's another reason why I picked up on Sunny Real Estate a lot. And that song 7 was such a powerful song.
Yeah.
And I mean that song blew me away. It's so much intensity, and that chorus, and I just I just loved it. And and the rest of that, the next that album and the following album, I was completely heavily influenced by that.
Cool. Yeah, that second EP was the second LP was my favorite.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's
Maybe just the roughness of it from being unfinished, but
Yeah, yeah.
I really like it.
I remember spending hours. So my cousin would get like the bootleg version of it,
Yeah.
download to the internet, but we wait like a whole day to just
Right.
download 30
Right.
seconds. I remember
Right.
that. But that whole 30 seconds was my world, man. I was
Right.
like, oh my gosh, we have the next Sunny Day Real Estate album, but it's only 30 seconds, but this is amazing. And it's the most poorest quality ever. Oh my gosh. It made it, meant the world to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember making a mix of this 30-second bootleg Sunny Day Real Estate stuff of the Pink album. Yeah. It was a joy.
Very cool.
Yeah. But that so Fugazi, Sunny Day Real Estate was a big influence on us, and then we brought that in. And then Still Life was another band that not too many people know. That I just love the dynamics of them. They're really slow. In a lot of ways, I would say romantic, really slow, riffs that really solemn, calm. And then, he would scream, he'd build up the screaming, and I was like, oh, this is a nice mix of both. This is still, a little hint of hardcore still in it.
Right.
And so we loved it, and we loved those dynamics that they were doing. And so that was another big one that we started getting into.
Cool.
And dealing with heartbreak. I definitely feel that next record.
Yes.
Over, was it what do you call three guys liking one girl? What is that?
Like a love triangle or quadrangle?
What is it? Yeah, is it?
Yeah.
It comes from that.
Yeah.
And that first song is definitely Jason's Fleetwood. He's singing about his heartbreak.
Yeah.
And you can see he's telling about he's done fighting for this girl, who it was. Forgot the name, whoever it was, but
yeah.
We would that record. I remember the girl that I was all devastated over was I had her picture on the stand to give me motivation. I'm sorry. That's a Slingshot David. That's a Slingshot David Records. I'm sorry. But yeah, definitely that had a big influence on that. And then I know I want to do more. It's just I don't know what happened. I don't know why we decided to do 3. Yeah. I mean, I want to do a full length, but we were never approached with it.
Right.
I was hoping that was going to happen, but my cousin he came to conclusion because we lost our main songwriters that we couldn't move forward. And I was like, I guess, but we're still going. I just, I don't know if, we were afraid to ask too. We were afraid to ask them, hey, do we get a full length to do? And I wish we did. I was like, hey, what's up? What's up? Where's this offer to do a full length?
Yeah.
Last time you were on our show.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was gonna, it does make sense, that, you lose John and maybe Brandon feels a little shy about the future of the band,
Yeah, and but I believe that's exactly what happened, is that he was shy about, okay, this guy was like the one making the hits or whatever or something. Right. And then he's on, I guess.
I feel like if it was me, if you had handed me the 3 songs that are on Fallbrook, I would have been like, go record some more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish that happened. I wish it really that happened.
Yeah.
I wish we did a full length. I really wanted to.
Yeah. My parents probably did too, because when Fallbrook came out, I listened to those 3 songs. just on repeat over and over
really?
and over and over.
Shoot.
Yes. They were also not pleased with me listening to music with screaming in it, but oh well.
Oh.
that was definitely the hardest thing I ever listened to in front of my parents.
Oh yeah, it's really uncomfortable, hearing the screaming and having anyone around that's not used to it. It's like, oh man.
And especially because on Fallbrook, some of that screaming isn't just like loud screaming. Some of it's like heartbroken screaming, right? So it's like, it's like uncomfortable screaming. Like, yeah.
And lyrically, so Jason would write stuff, and he would definitely modify words just to fit the music.
Yeah.
So whatever, he would write something down, but then he would almost borderline have to make it up, kind of a word or modify the word just to fit, And we were used to that. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. It sounds good, right? Okay, good.
That's what Sunny Day did too. That's fine.
Okay, cool. There you go. More justification of
yeah.
that. Yeah. But yeah, that's the 3 we did. I wanted to do more. I don't know if it was time or budget, and that was recorded at Bob Moon's studio.
Okay. Yeah. How did you guys meet Kevin Chin and him join the band then?
Oh yeah, so he had a band called Impact.
Huh.
And then he had a little clothing line called Slim. And so he was going to hardcore shows, and I ran into him eventually, with his band, that band Impact, I think. And as we got to know him more, I forget how who invited him in, but someone suggested, I forgot what it was. I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what's the name from? Yeah. Okay. Totally.
Well, cool.
And that's just, that he happened to be just within our circle of friends. And so, naturally he would jump on, when the need arrives, came up. So yeah, I'm sorry, I forget how that
I know.
connection.
So did Fleetwood leave for Rainy Days before you switched over to Slingshot David, or was his leaving what changed to Slingshot David?
Yeah, his leaving led because of that.
Okay.
Well, actually, we tried to continue as Bloodshed, but we were kind of wanted to reinvent ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And also we thought it was kind of weird that, hey, we're not hardcore anymore, so why have such a harsh name? But now going back to, I like the irony of it.
Yeah.
Or Bloodshed, what the heck? And then, we throw you with some softness to it, and then what the heck is this? So I like the irony now. So I wish I, thinking back now, it's like, I wish you kept it. And also I wish you kept it because that way that legacy of Bloodshed could continue.
Yeah.
Because we just cut it off, end it, and then we started with this new band, which is not a bad, Slingshot David is actually a pretty cool name. It's very biblical at the same time. So really cool and strong sounding and catchy, and at the same time, had a biblical reference to it. So we were happy with that.
It has a very deep elm. I don't know why, but I don't know. It just seems like a deep elm band.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, and then unfortunately, we just I wanted to do more melodic stuff, and honestly, I wanted to jump on the bandwagon of Rainy Days because they were all happy and because when Bloodshed was on tour, and I'll tell you one thing that I observed. Matt from Roadside Monument. He was very upset with everyone because, so we eventually hooked up with Focus and us. We went on tour in '95. We played a bunch of shows with MXPX.
Oh,
and cool. This is when what's the Green album called again? Teenage Politics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously everyone was so happy, excited to see MXPX every time. It was, hands down, everyone, that's all they wanted to see. And then, a lot of people did appreciate the hardcore. Oh, and then also we also hooked up with Blunderhead as well.
Oh, cool.
And I just remember the drummer you guys just want to see MXPX. That's all you guys want. I remember him so mad. I was like, oh man, I'm sorry. I mean, that's what they want, because Green Day was popular at the time. And and so, that's what people wanted, the majority. And I thought that was funny. It's like, I can't believe you guys. But
so where did you tour with where'd you go on this tour?
So mainly it's the tour followed the 10 that that runs through so whatever cities, so like a southwestern tour.
Okay.
We hit a few, and then Oklahoma, Texas for sure. I knew that.
Man, I wish I'd known that.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything back in the day, by the way.
I knew we hit up Arkansas, and then we eventually on the other side where Dirk's family was East Coast Atlanta. I remember playing a show there. Yeah.
How was touring the South with hardcore and punk bands in the 90s?
It was crazy because I remember on the road, I'm like, I'm 15 years old.
Yeah.
Who are these guys? Like, who are these older men I'm riding with in the middle of nowhere?
Right.
And I'm just like, well, luckily they're Christian. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a surreal moment. I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Like, where am I?
Yeah,
what am I doing?
You couldn't even drive home if you wanted to legally, right?
No, I couldn't. Right? No, man. So it was a weird realization, but I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I'm actually doing this. Like, this is what bands do. And so it's interesting. And then be able to, see, different parts of the country. Like I always enjoy traveling. I've been to Texas a bunch of times, but I like to, go further out. And so it was awesome seeing a different part of the country and, running into different cultures or whatever, or different, backgrounds, I remember going to one, like a Denny's or something. And I remember when we all went through MXPX and all that, I remember the restaurant, this absolute silence and everyone staring, that whole thing. And I totally remember that. Just looking at her green hair and baggy pants. Hey, look at those. They're barely fitting. I remember hearing comments like that. Like,
not as tattooed up as Mike is these days. So that's.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That would have gone over less well, probably.
But yeah, it was awesome to get out and also just kind of be on this big crazy adventure, with bands, and it was awesome to see how big this community was. I mean, geez, like from coast to coast, everyone was all into the same music. It was awesome.
I mean, especially in the Christian scene, we had a very, very tight, a very select amount of music to listen to.
Yeah.
So Bloodshed comes to an end. Jason Fleetwood left. Did Sean leave also, or was he?
Around? He after Bloodshed, disbanded. He went straight to Rainy Days.
Rainy Days, yeah. Okay.
In charge for that, yeah.
Okay.
Clifton, before we leave Bloodshed, I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
Jonathan.
Yes.
If you go on Spotify and you look up Bloodshed, there is definitely another band that if you click on it, you can find your albums under it, but it is not your
rough.
Bloodshed. Can you clear up any confusion with that band?
Yeah, sadly, I mean, I was running this. Okay, I'm running this problem with Stairwell. Yeah, I had to ask our old label and talk. I don't know if they thought the Spotify bit. That's a mess in itself because another band from North Carolina called themselves Stairwell, and apparently I found that there's a new band called Stairwell. Oh. They happen to be Christian, I think.
What?
So, weird. Yes, there's now a third Stairwell.
You can Google that stuff these days.
Just to add confusion to all. So there's no, we just, once we disbanded, there's no control. There's no one overseeing the organization of these tracks. So, who cares? Like Bloodshedd's gone. We're such an old freaking on a roster. What do we care? Whatever happens to it, if it gets, I don't know if they take people, or I know the algorithm will just delete you forever. I mean, you're still there, but you won't even get considered for anything.
Really?
If you don't get heard or something like that, I think.
If you want to find you guys on Spotify, you look for the metallic horse.
Yes.
Jumping over some kind of flames of fire or something. And then your albums are under that band, Bloodshed.
So
interesting.
Did you guys?
What does that band sound like? Is that?
I think it's like some Malaysian metal band or something.
Wow.
Some kind of hair metal or something.
I think with the rules of trademarks, whatever, as long as we're all different geographies,
Yeah.
I think we're allowed to exist.
Okay, right.
You know, like I think the West Coast, if we had the same band, that's why we're like whatever. You know, this other band's called. Plus, they're on hiatus, like the Stairwell on the East Coast. Like,
Yeah.
hey, we're both on opposite ends of the country. I think. I don't know. I might be wrong interpreted because my cousin told this, so I have to really fact like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the rules are about all that. You know, because you can't really trademark, right? Like, you can't really claim that like that's our name. Like it's
a word.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right too. Like Stairwell is such a common thing. So that is funny. I mean, yeah, you have to sift through a lot of stuff. I remember when I'm trying to like, you know, either get nostalgic or gotta go back. It's such an effort to find Bloodshed that I was a part of. Yeah.
Right.
It's just it's crazy, man.
Is Bloodshed on the streaming platforms because of you, or did Tooth and Nail put it on there?
That it's Tooth and Nail.
Okay.
Or the whoever had to take over.
Right.
Because it says like Sony or no. Had one of the big record label names, but under the Christian Capital, something like that. So, you know, whatever they have in the catalog, I guess, you know, they'll throw up and keep it up.
Yeah, it says Capital Christian Music Group.
Yeah. Which is cool. I can say default that I was in Capital.
There you go.
Yeah. I remember looking at that, and so I guess whatever they have in the archive, they put up anyway, and then they'll claim it. You know, you'll see in the YouTube like this is, you know, under this project or whatever. So, but yeah, we have nothing because we're not you know, tracking it or anything. It just falls in the cracks, and then when you try to do a search of it, it's gonna, you know, fall under the other bands.
Yeah.
You know, and Bloodshed. I mean, that's not a really unique name in itself either.
Yeah.
So, I'm not surprised there's other bands that call themselves Bloodshed as well.
In the pre-internet search engine age, you know, naming your band was a very, very different thing, obviously.
Oh yeah.
It's like with Rainy Days. Trying to do research on Rainy Days was impossible. You know?
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You get all this weather forecast.
Exactly.
And stuff like that, right? Yeah.
You search it on YouTube and it's like, do you want to listen to a thunderstorm? No.
Yeah. No, that's not it. And I bet you even type in Rainy Days bands, you're not going to find anything.
Nope.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
That's crazy. A lot of stuff just falls in the cracks.
Yeah, you know? Exactly.
So, okay, John, Bloodshed ended, and then did you do Slingshot David after that?
Yeah, right after. Yeah.
Is anything you recorded available online? I think we looked for it and we could never find anything.
I know a guy from Canada started a thing called Workshop Records, I believe, and someone else, I guess, knew the guy, owner, and then so had a copy of it, or at least MP3s of it. And the guy sent me a link, and it was like a limited time to download whatever he had. So I downloaded it. So I have it somewhere.
Okay.
If you guys want it, I'll be glad to send it to you guys.
Yeah,
that'd be great to hear.
It needs to be out there. If you don't mind, we'll put it on YouTube so people can hear it. Sure.
I mean, I've been talking about re-recording and re-releasing that as Bloodshed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an idea. I just these other, you know, the other guys, like I've been the most vocal and adamant about at least us sending out into the world a full length at least. But it's these varying opinions on how to approach it. That's where I'm coming in conflict. Like my cousin.
Yeah.
I love the guy to death, but we're, you know, ideal wise, we'll you know how to execute that, and then and also having our the original singer Jason on board, which is kind of hard, you know, to get him onto the idea. He's not opposed to it, but you know, he just has other different priorities. So that's what's been hard to get off the ground with that. So I've been trying because it's something I felt like I always wanted to. It's kind of unfinished business because like I always wanted to do a full length, and all we have is this 2 EPs, which I'm thankful for. But I know my cousin, he wants to like top, because like I guess he felt like we were always looking ahead. Because like, you know, when we came out with our EP, like everyone was like, oh wow, they're screaming and singing, and so he always wanted to think ahead, like what can we do that's ahead the game, but I'm like, I don't know what's left, especially after all these years. Like, what can we bring forward that's completely new, you know?
Yeah.
And all these other musicians out there now that are out there
Yeah.
and bands, like their musicianship is so amazing. I'm like, gosh, I'm not even caught up to that. Like, what? And so I'm just saying, like, for me, I would like to just bring something that we're known for.
Yeah, do it well, right? I mean,
Can we do? Yeah, and do that. So that's my thing. I'm personally trying to push it, and I think it's kind of like it's a situation where I believe where it's like if you build it, they will they will come thing.
Right.
I especially with the Jason's schedule and you know whatever he's dealing with, like if I have everything laid out for him just to go in the studio, don't worry about everything else, I think he might be more inclined to do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then for my cousin, like he actually just told me, hey, just go ahead and take the lead on it and kind of build something and then I'll work around it. So, but for me, obviously I got distracted because I got Stairwell, you know, dealing with, and then for me trying to do like a career change, I've been caught up with that. And, but it's on my mind though. I really want to push it. And I want to put something that what I enjoyed back then and bring it up to this point, you know, like, you know, just something, whatever I've known to like, I enjoyed in Bloodshed and bring it and not try to bring something new. I tried doing that and I'm just failing horribly.
Yeah.
You know, especially all these new guitar players and, you know, like, and how much like all these tutorials to how to get better guitar. Like these kids have surpassed us. Like,
yes,
so much, you know, with all the tapping and blah, blah, blah. Like I was trying to practice it. I'm just like, okay, I mean, I get it, but gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was thinking, do I bring that kind of thing to it? You know, and then the crazy timing signatures and stuff. But I mean, that's the only thing I was thinking with my cousin, like, what can we bring that's different? But I'm like, I don't know what else is different other than just to bring what people enjoyed us for. And so with that, if something comes about, which I really want to do, because I miss playing that kind of music too. I still kind of miss playing that, you know, kind of the mixture of melodic and screaming kind of stuff. I really do. And I definitely, I think the best angle is just to kind of just bring what we enjoyed back then to currently to the new kids too, you know. And what's cool is my cousin more so observing that younger generation is appreciating a lot of the older Bloodshed stuff. Yeah. And out of the blue, and it's like, oh, crazy. So there is a younger generation enjoying it. So you know, if I was to think there is a market, I mean, I guess there is still a little bit for it, you know.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I think it's a good approach.
Yeah. So
and that's one of the things we're going to ask is Stairwell doing stuff again? Does that put Bloodshed doing something again on the back burner?
Yeah, I really want to bring it back.
Yeah.
Like these are two projects that kind of haunted me for over my lifespan.
Yeah.
I never got a chance to really do a full length with the band, Bloodshed. And really just like throw it out, like the stuff that the music we love, this, here you go. This is what we were influenced by. You'll probably get it. And then, and there you go. And then with Stairwell, like, you know, unfortunately we disbanded right. We got signed, you know, right when he got signed, this inner turmoil, which I admit I was the catalyst for that stuff. You gotta really.
Let's keep moving that direction. So after Slingshot David, you went on to Mood Swingers.
Yeah.
Right?
So after Slingshot David, you know, I was kind of want to do. I joined Rainy Days after that too.
Okay, that's right.
But this paralleled. So you had Rainy Days going one direction, and I was doing that on the side. But then I would start my other project, which was kind of continuing on the what do you call it? The sound of Bloodshed a little bit, but this time it's only singing, no more, hardly any screaming. But down that line when I started, Justice ran into the guy that Joby from Crash, band name already, Crash Rickshaw.
Oh yeah,
that sounds right. Yeah,
that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he had another band on there on the comp, Helpless Amongst Friends, that he did. I forgot his band's name, the band name, but they were corresponding, so he joined Mood Swingers too. And Crash Freakshaw made a name for themselves over time too. Steve Dale, I think, is in that too.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So he was in Mood Swingers as well, and actually, still turning out like Bloodshed. But it was more. To me, it was kind of because at the time too, it paralleled the timing of when Foo Fighters came out. So that I would have to say comparatively, Mood Swingers is kind of like Foo Fighters. So we both kind of back and forth saying, but he had a more edgier voice than me, and so we had an EP for that. And actually, I'll send you guys to that one too.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah. I'll send that one. And
That'd be great.
So that band broke up just because the other guys wanted to be more edgier, and I wanted to be more Happy Promise Ring sounded. Yeah, I really wanted to be ridiculously happy stuff. So it was kind of funny.
So what year are we at this point?
I believe we are at 97, 98.
Okay.
Ish. Yeah.
So Promise Ring has Nothing Feels Good out by this point.
Yep. There you go.
That was the big one.
Because we actually even did a Promise Ring cover at
cool.
one point, which everyone digged, by the way.
Which song? Do you remember?
The one the bop bottle was
yeah, what was the I'm struggling to remember it too.
B is for Bethlehem?
No. Hang on, I'm gonna bring it up.
Yeah, I'm so bad at names.
Why did we ever meet?
That's the album, right? Oh no.
No, that's the
album's Nothing Feels Good. I think it's Why Did We Ever Meet?
Okay.
Does that sound right?
Either way, we're in the same vicinity.
Yeah.
But so it was a short run, that band. We did an EP, played a few shows, and I kind of was like, I want to do that. Had a different idea. So that's the starting of breaking up bands. My tragic behavior. And then there was a band that because I always liked bands that had a female fronted singer, and shortly after that, we had this band called Bell Contract that would be on the timeline there.
Okay.
I don't know if you have that music for that. Do you guys have it?
No.
I can send that to you too.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Wow.
I'll send you guys a bunch of unknown discography of stuff. That was cool. That's the band that's right before Stairwell.
Okay.
Then so that band Bell Contract paralleled Rainy Days too as well.
Okay.
And then I stopped getting along with the guys from Rainy Days. So I just bailed, and so they did their own thing. And when I did that, and then the Bell Contract, that band broke up. That leads up to the 2000s, which was up to we're at now at the Stairwell.
Yeah.
Stairwell when I started jumping in the band.
And are you playing bass for all these bands up to this point?
Rainy Days, yes. The Mood Swingers one, I was playing guitar and singing.
Okay.
And then Bell Contract, I was just playing guitar.
Okay. And I assume you started on bass because that's what your cousin needed for the worship band or something like that?
For my brother, he needed. That was that was open up for bass.
Okay.
And I was really naturally drawn to the bass too.
Interesting. Okay. And in my experience, people play bass because you need a bass player.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, because I had even the guitar available to me. Regular electric guitar, but I just naturally chose the bass guitar for some reason.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, but that makes sense totally. Yeah, it was a necessity. Everyone wants to be the awesome lead guitarist.
Yeah, right.
Or the Van Halen of the band. But I was the opposite. I was like, I always liked being like the rhythm section, in the beginning. Yeah, okay. I still do. I still enjoy it. Yeah.
So you joined Stairwell in what I get, it was kind of a transition period, right? They'd recorded that first album. I guess they lost some members. You joined. Was that weird coming in and kind of becoming the primary songwriter of this band that already existed?
It didn't feel weird. There was no because like it wasn't like it would have felt weird if like he left on bad terms.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they
It was
also
just more.
they also sought you out for that purpose, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
they did.
Okay.
Because like because Sean, he already knew me as because he really enjoyed the music I was doing in Mood Swingers as well,
Mhm.
but also with my past with him Bloodshed singing. It was a kind of like okay, he wanted me to hop on right away.
Okay.
And it would have been weird if it was on bad terms. If Neil left, they were like everyone's angry at each other, but because he was just like, hey, I'll play with you guys. But I'm going to do this too. And then the other guy's like, no, we want someone that's completely dedicated to Stairwell. Then it was like kind of a mutual thing.
Yeah.
So they left on good terms. So with me coming in, I was just like, oh, this vacancy is open with no bitterness.
Right.
So going into
Nice.
it didn't feel weird. But if it was like total drama, yeah, I would feel weird. Because
Right.
it's like, hey, Neil, I'm your friend. I don't mean to take your spot and, and stuff like that. So, yeah. But it is weird. It's weird, like, sing some of the songs that he wrote.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Understandably. Yeah.
Like as you know, like Don't Let It End,
Right.
that's his song. And so I'm writing his expression, his feelings, his thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, this is his feelings. I'm like, what am I going to do? Like,
Yeah.
but they wanted to continue on with, and it is a good song.
It is. Yeah.
And so I always make sure I give him credit. But God, when we went, I was on the road with Stairwell when we were playing that song. And I remember, people would watch, oh, that song's so beautiful. And then I'll be like, no, it's not my song though.
Right.
I always said, hey, no, that's not me. I mean, I didn't write that.
Yeah.
But
I always felt that, being in a band and performing songs is you're almost acting as much as you're performing, right? I mean, there's because you kind of have to bring like a performance to each time you perform a song, so you're saying, I'm going to perform this, in the moment as if I felt like I was in it again, right? So
there's total a bit of like, theatrical,
exactly
mindset for that too. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So was changing the style and the sound of Stairwell, was that a group decision, or is that just where you were at the time, songwriting wise?
Yeah. I mean, whatever I brought to the table, they're like, okay, this is how it's going to go.
Okay.
And
Cool.
but also it was a neutral thing because like they wanted to be like rock and roll. Everything was that word, rock and roll.
Right.
Rock and roll. It's so, dude, like I remember in Tennessee, some guy is like asking us, hey, what you guys sound like? What do you guys sound like? And we didn't want to say emo.
Yeah.
So I said, rock and roll, man. And he's like, emo. You guys are emo. And then I put down my head and it is like, he's right. I'm not going to fight with him. He's,
yeah. And
we tried to cover that, what we really were, with that word rock and roll.
Yeah. And Jay and I discussed that a little bit on the Stairwell episode, talking about this tendency towards the end of the 90s, for a lot of emo sounding bands to head towards this rock star kind of rock and roll type thing.
Yeah.
Because we're at a point where we want to be called that. We want to like be accepted on a wider scale.
Yeah.
So we're like, no, none of this emo stuff anymore. We don't know it.
Yeah. When
people in plain sight go, you guys are still emo. You can't hide it. You can't get away from what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was funny how that guy called me out. I'm like, you're totally right, man. Like we are emo. We can't get around it.
So so the first Stairwell album comes around, and were you guys at Cornerstone that year?
I believe so.
Okay.
Because I remember like everything just came fast. Like, hey, we got together. Let's play shows. Okay, we're already playing shows. Let's do a record. Okay, we're already in the studio. Let's go on tour. Oh, dude, we're already going to tour this summer. Dang. Okay. Oh, we got a label already? Shoot. Okay, we got a label already. Like everything was just coming out quick. And so I believe so. Like around that time, the record came out. 2000, 2001. We're already like, I remember playing Cornerstone early on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting coming back over so many years after. Like, oh, interesting. This is still going on. And 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 seeing a new generation, there.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, there's this story that Stairwell got signed to Take Hold just because Chad knew you guys from Bloodshed. Yeah.
It's because he was such a big Bloodshed fan. It was just by default. He's like, "I'll sign you guys," and I don't even think we remember hearing it. He's just like,
crazy.
"Whatever you guys got, give us a budget." Gave us a budget. Went straight to the green room. Rolled it down with Luis from Plank Eye.
Yeah.
That was a fun time. And it was crazy going to the green room. It's under different management. It's not under Gene Eugene,
right,
and stuff. I remember I was scared to go there because Gene Eugene passed, and I don't think he would dwell around that area. I was scared to go in the back of the room. I was creeped out.
Yeah. How was recording with Luis?
Was that? Oh, he's awesome. He's really nice. I really like how it's crazy because I was already used to digital with Bob Moon.
Okay.
And so for him taking a step back and going on tape was a cool experience.
Yeah.
And then realize like how much expensive tape is and how much more work it is to do. But it was a cool, unique sound that the record ended up. I can definitely hear it, despite it being digitized in the end. But I can definitely hear a difference with the tape.
And you've mentioned in interviews that it didn't sound like you thought it would sound. Is that just like guitar sound, or is that just is it overall? Like what's the difference in your head?
Songwriting wise, songwriting wise, like in the way the songs were put together, like it just didn't come out the way I expected it. For some reason, it was weird.
Like you did different arrangements when you recorded it, or
that, and I wasn't really aware of my lyric writing.
Okay.
I didn't know. I wasn't like the two Stairwell albums. I'm really not happy with my songwriting lyrics. Not at all.
Oh, come on.
Oh, hey, I got a question related to that. Hearts and Chevys, what is that about?
Okay. Well, actually, no, I remember you guys talking about, so
yeah.
Hearts and Chevys. So I'll start with this. This one is about an actual person between me and this person. And so basically it was just timing. Like this person had feelings for me. I didn't have the feelings at the same time, but then later on I did. But only after, because of this, I really did actually, I started developing feelings for this person. And, but this tragic moment happened between us. We're having a blast. We're hanging out in the mall, and she lets me drive her car. It's a Chevy pickup truck.
Uh-huh.
And it's her car, and I'm just driving, and we hydroplaned and crashed.
Oh.
I crashed. It wasn't a major crash, but it dented the front.
Yeah.
And, with her parents being pissed, and, I had to fork out some money. They agreed, hey, we'll pay X amount. They were cool. They were being fair. But on my end, it took a long time to pay them, and they needed the money.
Yeah.
And so there was this, our relationship, our friendship degraded because her parents were getting pissed off about, not being able to pay them up as soon as possible.
Yeah.
We're coming up with the money. So, that song's based around how like something I felt was about to evolve, but this tragic moment, crashing your Chevy. And so every time at that time, like any kind of type of Chevy pickup truck would drive by, it was a trigger of like, man, freaking, I miss that girl.
All right, this makes a lot more sense now. Okay, all right.
So our Chevy, it's a trigger.
Yeah.
And
I feel pretty good because I hit my intro telling Jay that there's never a heart or a Chevy that he's met that he didn't want to break. That's actually pretty close to the.
There you go.
Anyways, all right.
Yeah. So with that,
So one of the things on Pacific Standard Time, I'm not usually a fan of like big guitars, but the guitars are just so like chewy and thick on that it's, I don't know, it's going back and listening to it again in detail for our episode, I was just I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was really good. It was nice to revisit.
Yeah, that sound of the layer is it's basically from it's coming from our hardcore past.
Mm-hmm.
We're so used to layering guitars.
Okay.
And so we kept up with it with Stairwell.
Yeah.
Because we were, so that's why it probably has that sound, because we're so used to layering guitars to make it sound thick for hardcore that we just kept it on with the music, which sounds funny because we're trying to do poppy music, but really thick wall of guitar sound.
Yeah. I mean, for that kind of music, what I was more used to, obviously, was like that thinner kind of, JCM 800 or whatever, like Promise Ring sound, and
I mean, a lot of those people are old school, record live, no overdubs.
Yeah,
that's it. That's how they play it, and that's what's awesome. It's cool. It's their most truest form of them being represented.
Yeah,
and whoever's playing, that's what's being recorded at the time. There you go. And then for us, we're so used to doing the opposite, this studio, layering.
Yeah, over and over again.
Sampling or whatever, and so that we had a different approach to it. That's why, like, even the Sounds of Change is super produced, because that's just what we were used to. And I think it's probably because of all the type of recording, the way we did with hardcore music, we brought it in.
Interesting.
And I think that's probably why I was like, this is not sounding like the Promise Ring.
Right, yeah.
Because we layered all this stuff. Promise Ring, all they did probably just, one mic for each person. And there you go. And so I think that's another part too, why you guys are, talking about, like, where I was thinking, it's not sounding right. That's partially too of that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So towards the end of your time in Stairwell, does Threshold get bought right then?
Take Hold.
Sorry. Take Hold. Does Take Hold get bought right then?
Let's see. Yeah, not too long after. So I think we got signed with Hopeless after Furnace Fest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forget what year we played Furnace Fest, but
okay.
Shortly after that, I remember. And then when also, if we can, with the timeline too, is whenever Take Hold was being bought by Tooth and Nail. That's definitely we jumped ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you like been there, done that with Tooth and Nail? We're not interested. Is that kind of what it was? Or?
Yeah, it was that mentality too. But also because we dealt with them, it was also, I personally was just curious to try something new.
Sure.
Like that see what other things that this new label could offer too, and also too, admittingly, like a lot of the Christian bands ended up doing is that we were all trying to break out.
Yeah.
Right.
And so Hopeless was a thing to break out.
Okay.
Because I personally had guilt. I had to be honest. I wasn't so much in a evangelical mood anymore, or mode. Yeah. To be honest, I still had the Christian faith in me, but I guess I would say it wasn't as practicing as much, or what or whatever. Yeah, I was just in, or if you were to say another way, like in the selfish mode of my beliefs, just because also I was thinking from the standpoint of I want to make a living off music. I just didn't see a career, honestly,
right,
in the other market.
So you're trying.
You could call me a sellout. I'm totally. I'll admit it. Totally. I mean,
no. So you're trying to get away from the emo label, and you're trying to get out of this seeming black hole that you, once you're a Christian band, you can't ever seem, or even though you're not a Christian band, just once you're a person who's been in Christian bands, it seems to be hard to to break out of this, right?
Yeah, and honestly, that's how it was. Then that I was already doing it so long under that, with that mentality, and that with Stairwell, was just like, I'm already getting older, which I was still I'm still a young bastard. I was like, I need to make some decisions. Like, okay, well, if I want to make a living, I gotta make certain decisions, like what to do with as when it comes to music, because I said I wanted to make a living off it. It seems like I had to go the secular route too.
Yeah.
And then there was other bands that were breaking out at the time that were, examples of they were still Christian, but still out in the general market.
Yeah.
And that was a goal. And that was a goal with a lot of bands. Unfortunately, it's that, as you know, today, like a lot of us have new beliefs and different perspective on Christianity and faith or whatever. So we all going apart. And unfortunately, that's the time too I was noticing it as well. I was like, oh man, we're all kind of going the same way, unfortunately.
Yeah. So MXPX, successfully moves into the mainstream market here. POD moves into the mainstream market here, and it looks like there's this huge opportunity. Like this is going to happen, right? There's an opportunity here for more crossover success, but then it kind of just didn't happen. I don't think. I wonder what. It's very interesting looking at it from like a market point of view. That it didn't happen more often. Because I mean, I'll tell you that, and I never listen to Sounds of Change that much. I don't know why. It's just never hit my radar as much as Pacific Standard Time. But like, and I think Jay and I discussed this in the episode, is that there's no reason that Pacific Standard Time couldn't have been a huge, at least college radio success or something like that, like if it was just on the right label and got the right, distribution and support, so.
There's, looking back now, I wish we stuck with the Pacific Standard Time sound and continue on with it. I think I was in a style crisis or something, or genre crisis, where with the second album too, with more so this mentality of let's go, big, or let's go super rock and roll or whatever, and I'd say Juliana Theory had a big influence on that.
Right. Yeah. Not a surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. I would, just listen to different music and also listen to what other types of music that was like out there that people liked commercially. And Zach was listening to a lot of like Third Eye Blind. And so I was like, I really liked how they had all this different, mid tempo, then they go with the rock and roll. Like, I'm like, that's a good middle ground. I was starting to be a big fan around that time. It's weird from like these really underground, obscure bands and then wanting to go that route.
Yeah.
That's why I have to call it as a crisis. Like, where I was like, I don't know where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I wanted to go a certain route, like where it was just anywhere that we can break out the scene.
It's funny because I feel like the indie world also had a musical crisis around that same time.
Yeah, totally.
Where you go from kind of, this like super chunk, promise ring, these kind of things, right? And then really like we kind of have this little chasm, and then like on the other side of the chasm is Arcade Fire or something like that, where but there's this little 2 or 3 year period here where I felt like the whole market kind of was just like, what are we doing? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
Hey, so question I have, you guys, I guess your third album, but your second album, the one that you ended up, Sounds of Change, that you released with Hopeless, it came out on Hopeless a year or two later than you had put it out on Take Hold. Right? Because you originally recorded it with Take Hold and then it got picked up by Hopeless. Did that kind of like slow down your momentum? Or, I don't know, that had to have affected you guys a little bit because it was so delayed.
No, it didn't. It's just the fact is that I think during that transition to Hopeless, we were already kind of like in turmoil already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're there. We were told to get not group therapy, but the label was just like infuriated. Like, we can't believe you guys. Like, seriously, like I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
So by the time it came out, it was kind of like Stairwell was going to be done anyway. Okay.
Yeah, we were already disbanding already, unfortunately.
Okay.
Okay. Got it.
Which then left Pacific Standard Time in a weird nowhere land because Take Hold's gone, and that stuff didn't get transferred over to the Nell. And Hopeless never picked up Pacific Standard Time, so now
Yeah.
it just lives out there in a Neverland. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
and only brought back by fans that had a copy of it, and they would just put it up on their own,
yeah.
thing, and it's only just a few songs. It's like not the whole record.
Well, yeah, when we put the whole thing up on YouTube a few weeks ago, because I was just like, I was surprised, like, why is this not anywhere? You know?
Yeah, I thought Hopeless picked it up, but I was wrong apparently.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to find it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they own it. I think they do own it.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, with that, okay, so there's an update with that actually now. So it will be out thanks to Hopeless helping us out. It will be out streaming.
Nice,
Awesome.
good.
When?
By June.
Very cool.
Like sometime in June or next week?
They said early June that they're going to bring it back.
Okay.
That's great.
I had to send a CD, which I bought by eBay.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, so I bought my own album from eBay. I bought Sounds of Change because I also wanted to put up a little, you know how you put your record in like a thing.
Oh yeah.
I want to do that. Well, some other dingbat sent me the wrong CD, but they had the cover, so I gave him half marks or whatever review. So I had a lot of stuff I had to rebuy it because I gave it to other people, or I just didn't care. Like I don't know this band anymore, whatever. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had to buy whatever I bought. They have now. They processed it. It's going to be out. Yeah.
So they're just going to rip the album and put it up for streaming.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, I buy all my used stuff on Discogs. I've found it to be a lot better. The sellers there are a lot more trustworthy than eBay. Because on eBay, sometimes I would buy something and then it'd be like, "Here's a ripped copy of it." And like, I have a ripped copy of it. I want the actual thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. You're right. There's some shady eBayers out there. So
exactly.
That's going to come out. Thanks to Hopeless. We just distributed that. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm glad.
So, to catch us up to present a little bit,
sure.
Stairwell is playing Furnace Fest this year.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that, man. I mean, thanks again to Chad. I mean,
so what can people expect there? Is it going to be a lot off of Pacific Standard Time, Sounds of Change, and mix of both, new songs?
It's gonna be a mix of both PST and then the Sounds of Change.
Okay.
And we kind of did a vote. Sent out through social media about what people liked, and so we kind of took considered that too. Mm-hmm. And then there's a few there's some new songs that we would like to play for the show, but now knowing what the lineup is and the amount of bands are playing, looks like we have to be more selective about what we're going to play live. Because I don't know how much time we're going to get. With all these epic bands showing up, and the amount of people on this list for the festival, like I don't know, it looks like it's gonna be like 20-minute set, probably, maybe. It's just and it's everything's gonna be backline, so so just kind of to let you guys know, like if that's what it seems like, if they're in the rush to get everyone through. Yeah. This festival, and obviously the priority bands will probably get a whole set, probably a bit.
Okay.
So that I think we have to make a contingency where it's like, okay, if we get amount of this set, okay, we'll play this X amount of songs, and then cut it down to like, even maybe cut it down to 15 minutes. What songs we will play into 15 minutes? Like I think that's the game plan that we're gonna do.
Yeah.
So, but the plan, if we could get a good decent length of set, which I doubt, it's gonna be a mix of that, both albums for sure and stuff. And I personally would like to get, but only because due other people's schedule, like I wanted to get an EP out before. I definitely want to get a couple of new singles out prior to that. Yeah, and so I'm pushing that. But right now everyone's just kind of focused on getting the current set down, right? Which is the current albums. Sure. And stuff, and already that's kind of like challenging to put together with everyone kind of being spread apart in California. You know.
Are you guys playing any other shows before or after that?
Yeah, we are talking with a bunch of local bands here that to play some of the major towns here in California. So definitely LA, one in Orange County, one in San Diego County, and maybe up north, maybe San Francisco or something, maybe. And then play a few shows before then. Yeah.
Good.
So what's it like getting a band back together? Do you have to go to like 18-year-olds and like ask them permission to open up for them, or I'm just joking.
That hasn't happened yet, but if it comes, I mean, that's going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
because we're at this point, we all a lot of us came back together because we're like, we're not done.
Yeah,
we still want to play music, and so whatever that really takes, I mean, we'll do it. I mean,
cool.
And we have no, it's in reality, like when we show up to Furnace Fest, we're not going to have in reality not the whole crowd.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be a select amount of people there that will know us and appreciate it, and hopefully the rest of the crowd does. Hopefully,
yeah.
But we look at it, and then Zach was talking about this, where so we were here, we were around, and we got a certain amount of people to know us, but because we kind of dropped off a little early, there's no real definition about who we potentially can be.
Right.
It's really open, and so I look forward to that. To kind of like, kind of when we finally play, hope it's going to be hopefully a really cool version of us that definitely. Over the years, especially, it's been more than a decade or so. I personally developed a songwriting mode where I'm really happy with the stuff I've been churning out. So I know that whatever we're coming out with, I personally will be happy with.
Good.
For sure. Yeah. And I'm gonna make sure that the way we sound is the way I perceive in my head. But also with consideration of everyone else, because I want everyone to have their hand in it and also their opinion too.
Yeah.
With it, because we're all in together as a team. It's not a one-man show or anything like that. I definitely can't never do it by myself anyway. But
well, speaking of who was in Stairwell 3.0, this new version of Stairwell here.
Okay. Actually, this we would say. What is it? What version?
I called it Stairwell 3.0.
We should probably call it 4.0.
Okay.
Because there is a generation in between.
Right. Yeah.
So, and that is where I really completely went with the band. The sound, a very not a bad tangent, but a very like, what the heck? Where were you going with this? It's an EP that we finished. It's called Well, and I don't know. Do you guys have that either?
There's an unreleased Stairwell EP.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, I will send that to you.
Okay.
Oh wow, I'm excited about all this new music.
I know, me too.
Yeah, but this is really pavement-esque sound.
Okay.
Which is weird. So you would never, with you guys, me knowing you guys know what the other Stairwell was. So we have this 5-song EP, and it was around just for a little bit, but kind of disbanded. We had a girl bass player, and she was awesome. But with the reasons why I left the original Stairwell, I tried to continue on with these guys, but I still wasn't in the same place as I was personally.
Yeah.
So that eventually, ended as well. Mm-hmm. So, so there's another generation between from what you guys know to now too. So
okay.
I will send that to you. It's quite interesting.
Well, I'm excited.
And that actually, we got hooked up recording at Capitol Records, the studio over there.
Okay.
That's definitely memorable.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So, but coming up now to what the new lineup is. So, the core is definitely, it's still me, Zach Schultz, and then me.
Cool.
Which I think is the only way. He was the other like vocalist and face, the front man kind of with me. So we had to have it. I mean, he's definitely a key person in the band. He is, yeah. Like I believe the Stairwell wouldn't be, for whatever it is, it wouldn't be without him for sure. So like he had to be in the band, otherwise this couldn't move forward.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
So we're the only two of that, of that Stairwell that you guys know of, that are still in the band. No more Tim, no more Aaron, no more Sean. We haven't been in contact with Sean and Aaron in a long time. And then Tim, he's so busy with being a lawyer, attorney that I'm not even go there.
All right.
But he's still a good guy. I still talk to him. And then, so we have Justice as a drummer.
Cool.
Yeah. Which I suspect that he only joined the band because we're playing Furnace Fest.
Right.
Yeah. And then bass player is Jeff Jackaway from Unashamed.
Wow.
So, yeah. And then we have Andy. He's been in a few bands. I should have known his other band because they got on Island. But he's been in our he's been in our scene and parallel us for a long time. I just never knew him. And then Zach, he knows this guy Andy from like 8 years ago, and so Zach just said, "Hey, I think we still need that other third guitar." I'm like, yeah, whatever. I mean, I just want to play, and I guess the more the merrier, I guess. And I was just thinking we're gonna play as a 4-piece, but she's like, no, I would think it'd be cool if we had an extra person in it. And I'm like, yeah, totally fine, whatever. And so, but it turns out like this guy Andy is amazing, like super talented. He kind of took the lead of our social media and stuff, and kind of like directing, putting us in the right direction.
Okay, cool.
Things in that aspect, and he's an awesome musician as well. I mean, great all around person. So really nice, awesome guy. I'm really glad he's a part of it, and really keen, like really, really springing it forward, helping us, get back to where we are now. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
So, I want to take a few minutes and talk about some of your other projects that have come over the years. B is for Bridgie and My Compatriots.
Okay, so B is Bridgie is no longer.
Mm-hmm.
That's an old project.
Right.
With that just disbanded. The singer didn't want to move forward. Who I happen to be in close relations with, but we are now no longer acquainted with each other. So, and that was a female-fronted band. And then My Compatriots, that's something that's also kind of disbanded as well, just because there's a lot of history involved with that band that I was developing over 10 years. That because I'm kind of this past couple of years, I've been kind of in a new transition in my life right now, and so with that, that band, My Compatriots, I'm kind of just leaving behind as well.
Okay.
And stuff. So I started a new band called The Concrete Slabs, and and so that's my side project along with Stairwell.
Okay.
And so and the idea is just whenever Stairwell is to everyone's busy with their personal lives, I'll be pushing that.
Cool.
So you'll be seeing that a lot more, and that is kind of it's definitely has a lot of electronic influence in it, only just because of the idea of just kind of being more independent.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can just show up to a coffee shop and I can just have a background thing playing, and so it's with that idea of kind of independent, but I mean it's definitely open to a full band if the opportunity arises.
Yeah.
So I have that, and I'm going to keep that going so I can be busy musically. But although I have these tons of other projects I want to do a one-time thing. Like I have this like Beach Boy sounding project called the Pacific Notebook that I do, but that one, the Concrete Slab's like probably the main thing I'm trying to push, and then on the side. But Stairwell, like I really want to push that. I think it's its second chance at new life to really kind of we never got our chance to really kind of show who we really were. I think this is our chance now to do it.
Oh, cool.
And so with that second chance, I want to take advantage of that. I mean, with this festival alone has brought a lot of attention to us already.
Right. Yeah.
Just even leading up to it, with all these fans of other bands, checking out who's on the roster, and then like obviously like our IG and all that stuff. The numbers just following is skyrocketed for sure. And I could imagine just during and after what that can be. I just wanted to get advantage of that.
Yeah.
And so we're definitely we're not just around for a reunion, we're definitely around indefinitely until everyone decides to give it up. I think it'll be on better circumstances where we're just like, okay, we're too old now. That's how I ideally see it. So we definitely want to consistently play shows and put out records because just for the love of it, and then just go from there. So I personally want to keep it around around for as long as possible, and then just put out good music people can enjoy. It's snappy.
Agreed. Yes.
And with an approach to the new music, it's because before when I was going through whatever crisis I was going through, it's definitely along the lines of just something I know everyone's going to enjoy. I'm not trying to prove anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just know I need to prove that I'm just
right. I'm a much healthier place to be in. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just this is when I write. It's gonna be fun. Here we go. So
cool. Well, cool. So to wrap up here, we wanted to ask you, and I think I warned you about this, top Christian albums of the 90s.
Oh.
Give us a couple at least. Yeah. Well, what did you really like back in the day?
All right. So the first band that the most quality music, sonic wise, and like hands down is Starflyer 59.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Favorite record of all this whole scene, the whole existence of everything. Starflyer, the Silver Album.
Okay.
Nice. Okay. Start at the beginning.
Yeah. Like above of all the other artists in it, that's my most top favorite one. And then Sixpence None the Richer.
Okay.
Ooh, which album?
Definitely giant influence. Like, I still want to start a band with a female singer.
Yeah.
I did before. It's just unfortunately it ceased. And
yeah.
So watch out for that one. I definitely want to push that one. So Sixpence None the Richer is definitely one of my top favorites for sure. And let's see what else going down the line here. I was a big fan of Plank Eye one time.
Okay.
But my taste changed, so we had to push that back.
Yeah, right.
But I definitely enjoyed them a lot. Yeah, those are the top two I can think quality wise. On top of my head, that definitely had a big influence on me and just highly respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good.
They are.
Yeah.
I agree. That with everything that I love, Tooth and Nail may have been worth it for Starflyer 59, right?
Oh yeah. And and they're respected in so many other, not scenes or whatever you want, people outside of the Tooth and Nail scene that they're really well respected, and it's really quality music. And
and they've been all over the place, like I'm member of a few Facebook like shoegaze groups, and every once in a while someone gets on there is like, have you guys heard this this Christian band from the 90s?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of, I do follow some of those shoegaze things, and they talk about just general bands, and then Starflyer a lot consistently comes up.
Yeah, exactly.
This is such a good record. I'm glad that I was able to be at the same studio that they recorded that. I really want to study. I wish there was some kind of like like how you guys break down the record, like how that record come about?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
how they track it, what amps they used. But
Me too.
unfortunately, the guy that produced it passed away. You know,
Oh,
so there's those. That's that. Only can only know as the original band. You know, they were there, like how they did it. I think that maybe they might have something somewhere where they explain it, but I wish there was a more in-depth
And
thing.
I've read interviews where they've been asked, and they don't remember those early albums. You know, like what they were doing. So it's just.
Yeah, I believe
You
that.
know,
It's so long ago.
it's probably just a big blur to them, you know.
Yeah, I believe that too.
Yeah. All right, Jonathan. Well, thank you very much. This has been
yeah,
it's been really fun.
Really fun.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. What do you call it? Yeah, it was just thank you for having me on. It's nice talking to you guys. It was a pleasure. Yeah. I wanted to bring up. I remember listening to the breakdown of Pacific Standard Time. So there's one thing I had to tell you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
So I remember you guys were talking about, and this is in. So how I remember I emphasized the Hearts and Chevy song was directly about someone I know.
Mm-hmm.
So the other two, the distant relationship ones.
Yes.
So I had to tell you because I was like, no, they're not about me. I had to say that. They're about my friends that were in one, and because I'm the one that everyone wants to go to cry to, I would hear all of it.
Yeah.
All their whole experience.
Okay.
So their experiences. One of them is my cousin. We had a long distance relationship going on.
Mm-hmm.
So their stories were embedded in my head, and so being the best friend or, whatever, I'm always there to listen to them, no matter what, 2 a.m, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So their experiences were just embedded in my head, and so they had to come out musically. And so therefore, the ones that do talk about long distance relationship, I've never had one, honestly. Yeah. Those were about other people's relationships, but so those are all written through my perspective of hearing them crying on my shoulder about their heartbreak.
Well, you observed their heartbreak well, because they come across.
Yeah, I had to say
that real.
Because other people were like, John had a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
So, and I do tend to do that. I do write stuff from my own experience as well.
Yeah.
But also I feel like I also feel like compelled to write other people's stories from my perspective as well. So I do that too.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. And it's awesome. It's so awesome to hear people breaking down, the positives of the stuff I did. It's such a treat, and it's awesome. You guys are awesome, and really fair assessment. The other one, in closing, I loved how you guys were making fun of my bass tone for the Bloodshed EP.
Yeah.
It was just some sort of weird compression on it, and
that would make sense. Yeah.
The strings that I was playing on the high notes, and so it did sound kind of cowboyish.
Yeah, compression will do that.
That was fun. But yeah, cool. Yeah, thank you guys. It's awesome. Your show is great. Your analysis about the other bands and the conversations are very entertaining and awesome, and it's cool. Keep on doing what you guys are doing. Shows.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah,
thanks, man. We appreciate it.
From me, thank you very much for Bloodshed and Stairwell. They've been very important in my life, and we've said this before, but we call our podcast "Your Music Saved Us" because music is one of those things that's kind of always there for you, And
oh yes, indeed.
And it's yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thank you too as well. For you guys being out there too and appreciating the music.
Cool.
And loving the music. That's a very important part of it all too. There's people that make it, and there's people that appreciate it, and but also that's the whole circle of it. It's really important. So it's cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, so people can find you on Facebook, on Instagram. You've got the new single up on Bandcamp.
Yes. Oh no, actually, it's now on your normal platforms.
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, that's available.
and Pacific Standard Time, and the Sound Change will be coming out on streaming platforms in early June.
Yeah.
All right.
Early June. Yeah.
And then, of course, Furnace Fest, and keep an eye out for Stairwell coming to somewhere, probably else, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
we'll be playing everywhere, and as much as we can, and a bunch of new material for sure that's coming
Cool.
out. Sure.
You got merch out yet?
That is pending.
Okay.
That is pending. That will be out though.
All right.
We got to have it out for the festival for sure.
Yeah, let Jay know so he can buy a t-shirt.
There we go.
Yeah, for sure. We'll send you guys out. For sure.
Awesome.
Music I said I was going to send out. So.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Your Music Saved Us. If you enjoyed your time with us, please leave us a review or share this episode.
Visit patreon.com/YMSU to contribute and get extended episodes. Visit our website, yourmusicsavedus.com, to find out all the ways to listen. We're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and you can join our Facebook group or follow us to keep up with the latest or interact with us. Send complaints and disagreements to yourmusicsavedus@gmail.com. All right, hope you all enjoyed that conversation with Jonathan. He's a fun guy and passionate about music and such a great songwriter. So, at least to me. Maybe I just happen to agree with his songwriting style. I don't know.
Absolutely. And go see them at
Furnace Fest, guys.
You're going. Yeah, go for it.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Have a good evening or day,
Thanks, everybody.
night, whatever
Bye.
you want to have.